Hello and welcome to my Specialization Introduction and Outdoor Content Guide for the Beast Mastery Hunter in World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth. If you haven't watched the video primer for these guides, you should go and do that now. There's going to be a link to that video in the description below. That's going to get you caught up on everything that we're doing and why. It's going to help you understand what we're doing so you don't get confused. You only need to watch it one time and it'll apply to all the videos in this series, so it ends up saving you a lot of time, saves me a lot of time, and lets us get through these videos quicker. So go do that. Alright, so we are here on our Beast Mastery Hunter, and we've got our action bars ready. We've got our talents set up. These are the ones you can choose to fulfill the requirements laid out in the prior video. And now that we've got all that together, we're going to start going through our spell book and sorting through our talents. Now, I'm not going to dive deep into every single one of these abilities. I am going to give you a brief description of the ability, which should help you understand why it's being placed into the category it's being placed in. And we're going to kick things off with Aspect of the Cheetah. So this is a speed boost ability on a pretty long cooldown. We're going to put that in our combat utility section because we always want to put our movement abilities there because we want to use them as frequently as possible. Aspect of the Turtle is a damage reduction ability that deflects attacks. That goes in our defensive cooldown section. Aspect of the Wild is a resource regenerating ability that also gives us increased critical strike chance. This is an offensive cooldown we can use. Barb Shot is part of our core rotation. Bestial Wrath increases the damage of both us and our pets. And is a offensive cooldown. Call Pet. This is already over here. This is the menu that lets us choose which pet we want to summon. We're going to want to do that before we start combat, so that's something we're going to do outside of combat. So we will put that over in our miscellaneous spells section. Next up, we have Cobra Shot. That's part of our core rotation. Then we have Command Pet. This is a special ability that changes depending on the type of pet we have out, and so we will talk about that in a little bit when we go over pets. Next up, we have Concussive Shot. This slows the target. That's going to go in our CC and crowd control section. After that, we have Counter Shot. This is an interrupt, so it goes in our crowd control section as well. Disengage causes us to leap backwards. That's a combat utility ability. We have Eagle Eye. This is kind of a fun spell that lets us see off into the distance. So we're probably not going to be using that in combat. We'll be using it for fun. That's going to go in our miscellaneous section. We have Exhilaration. This will heal us and our pet for 30% of our maximum health. That's a defensive cooldown. Feign Death will trick enemies into ignoring us. That's also a defensive cooldown. Flare, we're going to put on the right side of our combat utility section. This is an ability. We're probably not going to use that often in the open world. It reveals hidden and invisible enemies. Sometimes you may want to use it. We definitely want to be aware that we have this ability, so we'll place it over in this area. Freezing Trap will incapacitate an enemy. That's a crowd control ability. Intimidation is a stun, so that goes in our crowd control section. Kill Command is part of our core rotation. Misdirection is another ability that we could use, but we probably won't use a lot in outdoor combat. It allows us to redirect the threat that we generate to another party member. So we'll put it down here to make sure that we remember we have it, but you're probably not going to use it that often. Next up, we have Multi-Shot. That's part of our core rotation. Then we have our pet utility menu, and this is going to let us do things like feed our pet and revive our pet. Generally, things we're going to be doing outside of combat, so we'll put that in our miscellaneous section over here as well. And then finally, we have Tar Trap. That is going to slow enemies in its area of effect, and so that is a crowd control ability. That's all of our active spells that we have for the Beast Mastery Hunter. So let's talk about the resources available to the Beast Mastery Hunter. So we have one resource available. It is called Focus. This is a resource. We start with 120 of it and we spend it on our abilities and it will passively regenerate. That's the only resource that we use as a survival hunter. So now we're going to get into the core rotation, but before we do that, we need to take a look at pets. So pets in Battle for Azeroth are now a little bit different. The pet that you have will belong to a family, and that family has a particular specialization. So depending on the pet you have summoned, you will have a particular specialization of that pet. Each specialization will give you a passive ability and an active ability. So in the case of ferocity pets, which we see here, those are things like cats. You will get 10% leech for you and your pet as your passive ability. Then for your active ability, you will gain a bloodlust effect where it will increase the haste for you and your party members on a long cooldown, and that will become the active ability that you get. If you have a pet out like a turtle, that will be a tenacity pet, a tank specialization pet. You will get 5% increased maximum health for you and your pet, and then you will gain a damage reduction cooldown that we would place down here in our defensive cooldown section. Finally, if you have a cunning pet out, you will get 8% increased movement speed for you and your pet, and your Master's Call ability will remove any sort of crowd control effects that are on you, and that's kind of a defensive cooldown, so we would put that down here as well. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to summon a cunning pet. We'll pull out a dog. Dog is a cunning pet, so you can see now this specialization is lit up. We have our pathfinding movement speed passive ability here, and our command pet ability has changed to Master's Call. So command pet will always change depending on the specialization of the pet that you have. And so we're going to move this over into our defensive cooldowns here. Now, I do recommend a cunning pet. The 8% movement speed increase is really nice as you're going around farming and questing and things like that. However, if you're finding that you have trouble with surviving or having your pet tank for you, then I would recommend that you get a tenacity pet. Alright, so now that we've gone over our pets, we're going to take a look at the core rotation for the survival hunter. To do that, we're going to take a look at our passive abilities because they do influence the way we use our rotation some. So first up, we have Beast Cleave. After you multi-shot, which is one of our core rotation abilities, your pet's melee attacks also strike all other nearby targets for 75% as much as their primary target for 4 seconds. So by casting multi-shot, we can cause our pet to deal AoE damage. Okay. We get a passive where we can train exotic pets, which is really nice. You can get things like dinosaurs as your pets. Kindred Spirits increase the maximum focus that we have and our pet have by 20. We increase the damage of our pets by a significant amount. And then finally, we have Wild Call. Your auto-shot critical strikes have a 20% chance to reset the cooldown of Barb Shot. So, really what we need to pay attention to is Wild Call and Beast Cleave. So, how does this all work? Well, we are a ranged damage specialization. So, when we start combat, we have a couple of options. Generally, what we're going to want to do first is we're going to want to either cast Kill Command or cast Barb Shot. Usually what we want to do is cast Kill Command because it uses 30 focus, and that way that focus that we use can start auto-regenerating. So we'll cast Kill Command, you'll see it uses some focus, and we'll start getting that back immediately. Now as far as what Kill Command does, it's pretty simple. It commands your pet to attack the target and deals a good amount of damage to the enemy. Pretty straightforward. That's our a nice single target ability that we can use. So whenever it's on cooldown, we want to cast Kill Command, or when it's off cooldown, and spin that focus. Now we also need other ways to spin focus, and we're going to do that with either Cobra Strike or Multi-Shot. So if we're fighting a single target, we're going to Cobra Shot. This will use 35 focus, deal some damage, and also reduce the cooldown of Kill Command by 1 second. So we open with Kill Command, we start casting Cobra Shot, and that's going to reduce the cooldown so we can Kill Command again, and we start using our Cobra Shot again, and then we're able to Kill Command again. Now, if we're in a situation where we're fighting several different enemies, then we can cast Multi-Shot. Multi-shot costs 40 focus. It fires a bunch of missiles, hitting your current target and all enemies within 8 yards for 132 physical damage, and triggering that Beast Cleave passive, which will make our pet deal damage to other enemies. So if we look at this right now, we're just hitting the one target. We can cast multi-shot. We hit a couple targets, and then our pet will start hitting multiple targets as well. So we cast Kill Command. We either cast Cobra Shot on single targets or multi-shot on multiple targets. Pretty simple. Now we do have one other ability to work in here, and that is Barbed Shot. This doesn't cost anything, but it has an 11-second recharge and has 2 charges. So you fire a shot that tears through your enemy, causes them to bleed for some damage over time. So we put a damage over time debuff on the target, which will cause them to bleed. Also, because our target's bleeding, our pet gets more aggressive and goes into a frenzy, and this increases their attack speed by 30% for 8 seconds, and that can stack up to 3 times. So we can get 90% increased attack speed on our pet's attack by using Barbed Shot. Now, Barbed Shot also will generate 20 focus over 8 seconds. So when we look at our Wild Call, our auto shot critical strikes have a 20% chance to reset the cooldown of Barbed Shot. So as we're using Barbed Shot, we have a chance to have the cooldown reset. However, that's totally wasted if Barbed Shot isn't on cooldown. So generally, we're going to want to open with Kill Command, throw out our Barbed Shot, and then start spamming our Cobra Shots. Cast our Kill Command again. If that bleed from Barbed Shot is about to go off, we cast it again. And that is generally how the rotation is going to work. If we're in an AoE situation where we're fighting multiple enemies, we do the same thing, except this time we open with Kill Command, we cast multi-shot, make sure our Barbed Shot is up, we cast multi-shot again, and then we go back into our Kill Command, and that is it. That's all there is to the Beastmaster Hunter core rotation. It's pretty simple, 4 abilities. You do start to incorporate Bestial Wrath as well. It has a 1.5 minute cooldown. It will increase the damage that you and your pet deal by 25%, and then its cooldown is reduced by 12 seconds each time you use Barbed Shot. So we'll go ahead and show this. Alright, so if we hit Bestial Wrath, we can do our Kill Command. Our Barbed Shot's going to take that down a lot. We start using our Cobra Shot. We cast our Barbed Shot again, Kill Command. And every time we get that Barbed Shot, we take that cooldown. We reduce it by quite a bit every time. But as you can tell, with the current version of the build that I have, where the talents really aren't influencing what we're doing here, it doesn't really proc all that often, where we'll get that free Barbed Shot, or that cooldown reset on the Barbed Shot. So, now that we've taken a look at the core rotation of the Beastmaster Hunter, we are going to hop into the talents and create a build that's going to work well in open world content. And I do have this ready. Okay, so this is the build that I recommend that you use in open world content. It's not the only one that you have to use, but it is the one that I think is the most interesting. So we're going to get in here and we're going to go over the talents and how they affect the build. Alright, so first off, we have Killer Instinct. Kill Command deals 20% increased damage to enemies below 35% health. Now, we can't show this off against the target dummies because they're never below 50% health or 35% health, but effectively what this does is it makes your Kill Command turn into a kind of execute. So this way, when your enemies get low, you can Kill Command and do a bunch of damage and hopefully kill them off with that one Kill Command. Next, we're going to add Chimera Shot. This is a instant ability with a 13-second cooldown that will deal damage to our target and then another nearby target And it will also generate 10 focus for each target that it hits. So we'll put that down here, and that is something we're just able to use on cooldown to deal some extra damage. Next up, we have Trailblazer. Your movement speed is increased by 30% anytime you've not attacked for 3 seconds. So this will give us a nice speed boost on top of what we're already getting from having a cunning pet out. And the nice thing about this is that you keep that movement speed buff as long as you're not attacking. So if you're trying to get from place to place, or you're trying to run out of a cave or something like that, all you have to do is not attack anything, and you will maintain this buff, and you'll be able to get around a lot faster. Now, alternatively, I would recommend you could take Camouflage. It's a nice ability on a 1-minute cooldown. It allows you and your pet to blend into your surroundings. It gives you stealth, and it regenerates some of your health. So this is nice if you want to bypass different enemies and maybe get through a camp to target one particular mob that you need for a quest or something like that. So you could take Camouflage as well. On the 60 tier, Murder of Crows, this is another active ability we have, so we'll put that down here. And with a 1-minute cooldown, I normally wouldn't take a talented ability like that unless it did provide a lot of utility like Camouflage does. However, the nice thing about Murder of Crows is that it costs 30 focus, and it deals a ton of damage to a target over 15 seconds. And if that target dies while Murder of Crows is active, it resets the cooldown of Murder of Crows. So on a regular enemy, you're definitely going to kill them within 15 seconds, and then you'll have Murder of Crows ready to use on the next enemy. On a rare spawn or an elite, you may wait until about 50% health and then cast Murder of Crows. That way you know you have 15 seconds to finish off the other half of their health, and you'll have this ability off cooldown again for the next thing that you are going to attack. So really the 1-minute cooldown is just kind of there if for some reason you don't kill the thing that you're attacking within 15 seconds. Otherwise, this is another ability you can just constantly use against every single enemy. Next up, we have Born to be Wild. This reduces the cooldowns of Aspect of the Cheetah and Aspect of the Turtle by 20%. Both these abilities are very good. Aspect of the Cheetah is the one that gives us a nice speed boost. We get 90% speed boost for 3 seconds, and then 30% movement speed for 9 seconds. So we get 12 seconds of increased movement speed, which is really nice, and being able to use that more frequently is also very, very good. This talent reduces the cooldown by over 30 seconds. And then with our defensive tool, Aspect of the Turtle, this will deflect all attacks and reduce damage we take by 30%. And that's also going to have its cooldown reduced by over 30 seconds. So after that, we have Stomp. When you cast Barb Shot, which remember we're going to be casting that pretty frequently, our pet will stomp the ground, dealing damage to all nearby enemies. So this will affect both a single target and multiple targets. And we'll go ahead and we'll show that off real quick. So let's say we cast our kill command here to get our pet to go in. And then if we Barb Shot, our pet does a little stomp. And then finally, Aspect of the Beast. We increase the damage of our pet's abilities by 30%. And we increase the effectiveness of our pet's passive ability that we get from their specialization by 50%. So now our pathfinding will actually be 12%. Increased movement speed. It doesn't show up on the tooltip, but that's what it is. So how does this affect our rotation? Well, not too much. We're still going to want to open up with our kill command. We'll want to put up our Barb Shot. Make sure that we're using our Cobra Shot on single target, our multi-shot on multi-target, but now we have 2 additional buttons we can push. So we have Chimera Shot if we need to regenerate focus. So let's say we're using a bunch of Cobra Shots and our focus is down, we can cast Chimera Shot and we will get 10 or 20 focus back depending on whether we hit 1 or 2 targets. Also, if we know that our target is going to die in the next 15 seconds, we can cast Murder of Crows, and that will deal additional damage to them, and then we'll have it ready for the next enemy. And that's really all there is to it. That's everything for the Beast Mastery Outdoor Content build. So next, before we go to the demonstration, we're going to touch on the PvP talents if you want to activate War Mode and mainly participate in PvE content. So first off, I recommend that you take Relentless. This replaces your Honorable Medallion, makes this a passive ability that gives you 20% reduction to any crowd control effects that are cast on you. So it's a nice set it and forget it sort of talent. Next up, we have Dire Beast Hawk. This is a 30-second cooldown, costs 30 focus. It summons a hawk that circles the target area, and it attacks all targets within 10 yards over the next 10 seconds. So just a nice other damage ability you can use. Next up, we have Dire Beast Basilisk. This is a 2-minute cooldown, but it summons a basilisk for 30 seconds that attacks the target for heavy damage. So this is a nice ability to use on rare spawns and elites. And then finally, Hunting Pack will reduce the cooldown of your aspect of the cheetah by 50%. And it will cause the aspect of the cheetah to give that 90% buff to all allies within 15 yards. So you'll be able to use that aspect of the cheetah even more often, and it can also affect your friends if you're out there questing with a friend or two. So now that we covered the PvP talents, all that's left is to take this build out into the open world and show off how it works. So I'm going to cut to that, and I will see you there. Alright, so we're here in Suramar City, and we're just going to fly down and fight a couple different types of enemies. So we'll get down here on this bridge, and we're going to hop off our mount so our pet will summon, and we'll fight this one target. So remember, we want to open up with Kill Command. We can cast our Murder of Crows, start using our Cobra Shot, and he is already dead. But you can see that our cooldown on Murder of Crows has been reset. Alright, so we can Kill Command and Cobra Shots. There we go. Take this guy, we'll Kill Command, cast our Murder of Crows. And you can see that we are doing an immense amount of single target damage. This build is really good for that. That is kind of the strength of the Beast Mastery Hunter. Alright, Murder of Crows. There we go. Now what we want to do is we want to try to take on several enemies. So we're going to Kill Command, we're going to multi-shot so that our pet will Beast Cleave. Oh, we're going to Kill Command again. Alright, so we got a little bit stronger of an enemy here. We'll go ahead, we'll cast Murder of Crows, we can use our Chimera Shot, cast our Barb Shot. The nice thing about being on a hunter is you can keep moving while you're casting your abilities. Alright, we did manage to kill him in the 15 seconds, so our Murder of Crows was reset. Our dog's low, we're kind of low, so we can go ahead and hit our Exhilaration. And that's going to heal us. And we've got a lot of increased movement speed here, which is pretty nice. So let's go ahead and we're going to go find an elite or a rare spawn that we can kill and kind of show off what we would do in that sort of a situation. I believe we have an elite right over here. So we'll go down, and as you start to get a hang of the core rotation that we've set up, you can start to incorporate other abilities. So for example, if I was worried about taking damage from this guy, I could use my aspect of the turtle. That does stop me from attacking, but it doesn't stop my pet from attacking. In this case, we're going to open up and use our Bestial Wrath so that we can get some extra damage for us and our pet. So let's drop down here. We're going to cast Bestial Wrath. We're going to go into Kill Command. We're going to go ahead, get our Barb Shot, start casting our Cobra Shot, get that going. We can cast our Chimera Shot for some increased focus regeneration. If we've got a target that we know is going to die within 15 seconds, we can get that Murder of Crows on there. And that's really all it is to it. It's a pretty simple, straightforward specialization and a pretty straightforward build. And I hope that this video has helped you to understand how to play the Beast Mastery Hunter. And I hope that you have the confidence to get on your own Beast Mastery Hunter, go out there into the open world, start trying out the specialization, and see if it's something that you'd like to play in Battle for Azeroth. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and hit the bell if you want to see more content. Encourage me to keep creating these videos. But either way, I really just hope that you have fun in Battle for Azeroth. Thanks for watching.